Hello, my name's Robert Adams and I'd just like to show you in this tutorial how to get the best out of small stretch card dies and use them to create these beautiful little cards. And this is one which we're going to show you on the demo here, but they are beautiful cards to work with. And again, I'll show you a lovely little coloured version here. It's nice and simple. If you just follow these instructions, you'll be absolutely fine. Now I recommend working on 250 GSM card. You can go a little thicker, but I wouldn't go any thinner than that. And I'm going to show you the method here of working. I've just got a plain sheet of paper here today. And what I suggest is you just line the template up with the outer edge and the lower edge, and then simply draw around it. You could mask and hold it in position if you think it's going to move. But what we want to do is just get our basic lines. Now I'm going fairly dark on this, so it hopefully shows up on the camera. But you don't really need to go as dark as that. It's just a guide to place the dies down. At the moment we'll ignore this, that's going to be the strap, but we've got two dots here and those are our cut lines for slotting the card together. So on this one I'm going to go for the lower dot, just pop that in there and there. And that means I'm going to go from the lowest point from there to the top when I do my cutting. Okay, and that's my template down. Now, if you've got a printer that doesn't print edge to edge and you wanted a pattern paper, we've got to work out where these dies are going to go. Just get one of those and show you. So it's going to cross the edge here. Now we can pop two pieces of paper on. So what you can do is just see sort of your safety margin. Now you only ever need to do this once, and as you get better prepped at it, you might not bother again. But I'm just going to pop two little lines in here and just pull the template up now to line up with those two lines there, and simply just trace again just a very, very faint outline at the top there. Okay, and I'm going to now repeat this for the other side, because the nice thing now is that we get a complete card out of our card here. So again, lining up the two edges, that means there's two less cuts to make. And again, just pop that in. I'm going to use this from the lower edge down to cut. So I go from there to there, and on the lower one I can just mark in with my little triangles down there. Okay, and again just two little marks in here just to bring the template up and pop in a faint pencil line here. And this shows us really where the height of the die is going to come. So we've got that little bit spare inside. What I tend to do now is just by eye put a couple of points in, one there, and just draw a cross, because I find it easier to cut this out and then work with it on my machine there. So it's just as a rough guideline. So at this point we can simply, I'm just going to use my craft knife here and just separate these two halves like so. And that's going to enable me to get it through the machine a little bit more easily. Now, what I do on here, I'm just going to repeat on the other side, but after I've cut it, and I'll show you that because we've got to line up. Okay, again, remember the pencil lines are darker, they're purely to show up on the camera. So that's our first part of the template done. And incidentally, we have this system here because if I've used a full A-sized piece of 250 GSM card here, but if I was printing this out on my printer, it might not print edge to edge. So what I would do is just cut down along the corners and then pop this on, and that would show me, you know, how close I was getting and give me a guideline to where the dies are going to come. You can see there's plenty of safety margin here. Our two cuts already done on the side. We're going to have a cut here, but we don't do that yet. Now you can take some of this off, but leave a couple of centimetres. I just do this because I feel it gets flopping in the way. But we will have dies, and I've chosen one here that will hang over slightly from the edge, so it's best not to cut it until you're finished. Okay, so let's introduce the dies. There's 5 in the set at the moment, but there will be more on the way. And you've got two, a left-hand cut and a right-hand cut, because they cut, they emboss, and that gives a more beautiful image on the card. And so we've got to cut rather, one from one side and one from the other. Now the new dies here actually cover two of the parts here, two of our curves, so it's a lot quicker. And what we're going to do is just flip this over now to know which one. They look very similar, but a couple of things to help you here. The smaller part is usually at the front, so the small snowflake, and a slightly longer tail to it. Okay, you can see a little bit more clearly now the longer side than that one there, and that's going to be my first cut, and that's going on here. I'm simply going to rest that along the archway like so. It will just slightly come over the line there and a little bit over there, and at this point we'll just hold it on with a little bit of tape. Again, that's big, bright and green, and that just shows you that I've taped it down. That's to keep it in position when it cuts. So the next thing to do is just run this through my cutting machine. And I'll pop that on the plate here to begin with, and you can see now why I cut this in half, because I get a much better cut at the edge of my cutting board, and that now enables me to move that a little bit closer and then just make the sandwich like so, and then I can run that through my cutting machine. So in that goes. Just run that through, feel it drop onto the die and off. Carefully pull this away with my tape. And you can see now our first cut and our embossing in there as well. So what we've got to do is now flip this over and do the same on the other side. And I'm now just going to draw in the two lines, top and bottom here, and then you can see we've got our basic cut edge. We don't need to put anything else in because we can work from the other side. Now at this point we'll bring in the other die to cut from the reverse. Again, a longer tail, smaller part at the front, and just bring that in, line it up with the curve there or thereabouts, just come in slightly and hold it into position with a little bit of tape. Incidentally, the tape's cutting on the waste side there, so it's not too critical how sticky it is. And again, we'll just run that through the machine. So onto the base plate, close to the edge again, because as that's where it cuts the most effectively on most machines. Sandwich it and sandwich it up and pop it through the machine again. When that's cut through, carefully take away the tape here. Like so, and I can just remove that. And we've got a nice cut on that side, one on the other. I'll just carefully pull this away. It might or might not catch there. That's all free, so flip it over. I have my line here. So I will just separate that. And just pull it away like so. Now at this stage, the next job to do is to fold it in half. So we'll carefully pop that to there and then just put a crease line in it like so. There we go. We may be folding that one back. We don't quite know where it's going yet, but it is actually that way. How do I know it's going this way? Well, when I look at this now, I can see that as it cuts, it bevels the edges. So I've got a decorative face and a decorative face here coming towards me, and I can see the little bits of embossing as the snowflakes touch within the card. Now if we cut all the same way, if I just actually flip this over, you can see, I don't know if it's picking up on the camera, but that looks flat, it's not as interesting. So that's how it's going to face towards us, and I'm going to open it up like so, because we've now got to make the second one. That now entails working out which way it's going to go. Now I'm going to just flip this over and draw on the other side. As you make more of these, you begin to find sort of shortcuts and ways of doing things. Again, I'm just going to take a little bit of the corner off there, not much, because what I want to show you here is a way, a methodology of making this. So when it comes to making the second panel, it's a great idea just to line them up like this. As you become more experienced, you would have known, well, actually, I can start from there. You wouldn't have had to draw on the back of it as I've done here, but it just all helps, whatever makes it easier. So we've got this one, that's our front panel, that's decorative, the back one is plain. So when we come to do this, we're going to have to make a decorative one here and a plain one at the back to match it. It mirrors it. So I'll just pop that one on there and bring that up into the curve like so. And you're just following the curve there or thereabouts. It doesn't matter if it's not critical. And I will go on now and cut this. So just to show you that one on there, and when that one's cut, I'll turn it over and pop this one on the back like that, and then I'll have two panels and I'm ready then to make the cut lines here. Just a cautionary word, someone said to me, could I not cut it all at once, one on one side, one on the other? No. no, you can't do that, because these two little tails slightly overlap and those two dies will hit and it will damage your die, but it's nice and quick to do, so I wouldn't worry about that. Again, flip that over, cut that one, flip it over, and I'll do the other one, and then we'll come back and I'll cut in the basic lines here and we'll simply slot it together. My second one's now cut out, and what I need to do is just fold this over. As that's plain, that's going to go from plain to decorative. So I've got two decorative faces there, and just pop that on there like so. There we go. Now at this stage you'll probably notice, I don't know if it's picking up on the camera, some very faint pencil lines. So you can, with the rubber, just gently rub out those lines. Again, if I did make them quite dark so it would show up on the camera, depending where you've placed the die, you might just miss it, but it will just show in places. So a little bit of rubber, and I tend to work towards the more delicate parts like this when you're rubbing. Don't run backwards there with the rubber, because you might just catch something. Okay, so there we go. That's on there, that's here. Remember, our marks are on the card, so we're going to cut one from the top, one from the bottom. And if I just lay these down, we can see edge to edge now the decorative faces and the two plain ones at the back. So we've now got to make our marks here, and if, like me, at this point you forget what you've done, simply get the template back on, and I'm having a look, and so that is from there to the bottom, and I can see the little marks. So I'm just simply going to cut that from there down to there, and do the same for this one here. So onto the pencil mark, down to that little line that I've made there, and that's ready for folding. And flip this one over, and we're going to cut from the line here up to the top of the curve there, with the two joined together. Like so. And I always just check and make sure that's cut fully through, because when you come to slot it, otherwise, again, you see that's fine. Okay, so two pieces, and now these can be slotted together. You've got a couple of choices here as well. We've got the lovely decorative cards. You could, if you want to, work flat here and colour in various elements at this stage, and that's absolutely fine. That's a great time to do it. I think for the actual decoration of the card, it's a better thing to do when it's all together, so you can see where to place the objects. It's better to do it after you've slotted the two parts together. So just as a recap, decorate the top part if you want to now, and then do the main decoration after you've slotted it together. Now, slotting it together, we should have two shapes, and we just fold them in half, so it's decorative face there and there, fold that over, decorative there and there. It will give us our L shapes that look like this. And so these will just now slot in together, one like so, and the other one into the front there, like that. Pop it down. There we go, and then squeeze it. That will all find its way into position then, and it'll naturally spring open when it's made as well. And there we go, that's our basic card. So a last little job to do, and that's to put an archway on it if you want to have an archway there. Now with the arch we can make that decorative as well, so I'm going to just pop this on here like so. Now when you get really clever at this, you can probably get the archway out of the card. You know that we've had a section running through, you'll be able to find you can just drop it into position. Now we could just cut that out and have an archway which we can put our greetings on, but we can, if you want to, actually put the dies on and create another sort of cutout within the die, within the archway here. So what I'm going to do is just pop that onto there like so, and I can see where it would normally curve off on there, and just hold that in with some tape, and I'll just run that through my machine, let that cut, and then I'll use the other die and I'll come back and just line that up like so, and I've got a nice little cutout or edge cut on here as well. And I'll just pop this one on here, and again follow the edge there, just crisscrossing slightly, you don't want to go too far. When you decorate it, you can cover any imperfections. A little bit of tape to hold that into position, and again I'll just run that through my cutting machine again. There we go, just gently remove that. And now I can cut the rest of this out either with a craft knife or with my scissors. So I'll go ahead now and cut this out. And here's the finished archway. So that looks really nice. A few little bits just to pop out there. Just take the waste out. And that's ready again to decorate now. I could put my greetings message on it. I can decorate it further. That's ready to attach to the card. And you have a couple of options with this. You could put a couple of archways on. The most common way is to actually lay the card flat and now just stick it across the back here. Just rest it onto there and pop it onto the back of the card. If I just pick this up, I'll be able to see on the camera. The other thing that we can do is follow a line of the card. So I could pop it here like that as well, or I could pop it down here as well. So that would be another method that we could use. But for this particular case, I'm just going to glue here and just pop that on. So I'll pop a little bit of wet glue to hold this down at the corners there. Pick that up, and I'm laying this flat because then everything sort of works in the right position. I could come a bit lower, a bit higher, but you can, if you want to, just flip it around at this stage and just see where you want it to go. That looks fine to me. Just rest for a couple of seconds on there. So we have a beautiful stretch card that looks absolutely lovely, and at this point we can now decorate it if we want to. And I'll just show you one we prepared earlier on. So you can see in this instance we've now used a little bit of acetate across for the archway there. Our snowflakes run across the edge here, and then that's just been decorated up with an image and made to look lovely here. Now this technique works for all of the dies in the set. We've 5 at the moment, but by the time you watch this or later on there may be new ones added, but they'll all work on the same principle. It's a lovely die to work with, lovely set of dies, and you can use it as an edge cutting die as well. So there are other cards and other techniques that you can use with this. You're not just limited to using it here. So we have our lovely Christmas card here we just looked at. And again, just to show you this one where we are now working with both. We're mix and matching. We've got some poinsettias and the snowflakes as well. So that's nice. You can sort of mix and match with the cards as well. Here we're making a set with the lovely flower dies, and we've got a cat there. So you can again decorate it and our greetings message running along the top here. With this one we've got the butterflies, but variation on a theme. We actually have it so it folds out like so and gives you the opportunity of putting a greeting in there. So it's just a case of putting 2 together here, and it just makes again a little variation on the card. Nope, we've got our greeting along the top as well. And there's space on the back of the cards if you want to pop the greetings message. The poinsettias look lovely, and again, decorated up, so after the card's put together, you can see the best position to put them in. And here's a great one using the cogs and gears to give you a really lovely card. Flowers are always beautiful, and this one looks particularly magnificent. We've got our edge die along the top of the stretch card here, the small stretch card, and we've got our additional flowers just popped in there, a spray of colour. I think that looks absolutely lovely. Incidentally, I haven't spoken about this yet, but they do fit into a standard A5 envelope. Keep it below 5mm, that will go as regular mail, regular post. Now, if you'd love to bling up and make things really fancy, the butterfly one looks gorgeous. Here we've got a ribbon at the front, and it's just a variation on the theme, and lots of butterflies spraying out all over the place. Absolutely lovely little card. And while we're looking at butterflies, again, it doesn't all have to be fancy. We've got just a very simple black and white. I quite like using black and white, just sort of changing the colours. And that looks lovely. It's sort of a monotone, can sometimes work quite beautifully. Again, greetings along the top. You don't have to put this top panel on if you don't want to, but I think it's a great place to put a message on your card. And if I show you here again, another cogs one, again, fantastic card. The greetings now on the panel, so we haven't put one across the top, so it's not always necessary to do it, and you can play around. That's the beauty of these, you can make them into really whatever you want them to be. Now here's a lovely little card, again a floral one without the arch across the top, but I want to show you, you can see this was one where we would have decorated the flowers beforehand. I'll just zoom in with the camera, you can see that they're just all hand coloured. And that would be done before we put it together, and then we can pop the card together to create the greetings. Well, I hope this tutorial's inspired you to have a go. It really is lovely and simple. They're quite quick to actually make the cards and fairly fuss-free. And I think the result looks absolutely amazing. And it's one of those cards, again, where you're going to get lots of praise and people think you spent hours for it. Doing it, and I'm sure they're going to appreciate it as well. They do make beautiful cards. I think this is a great little project. You can have fun with it. Suitable again for all ages, supervise the younger kids, but there's nothing too tricky with this as well. So, you know, the whole family can join in with the crafting. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed yourself and it's inspired you to have a go. Take care and enjoy your crafting. Bye-bye.